Unravel the mystery of a city in the middle. That's
A city?
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, IMDb. What was that? A city in the middle of the USA? It's got like 7 buildings. FilmVist.
These are our season 2 of From, created by John. His name's gone. Griffin. I have a feeling it's Griffin. I have the feeling it's actually been harder ever since Epix turned into MGM Plus, because everyone used to refer to it as Epix is From.
I thought it was from Epix.
From Epix. from Epix. Or referring to it as From 2022 was fine as well, but now they're going to make a 2023 season. So it's really
It's almost
hard.
like it changes every year.
We are going to do our season 2 predictions for From. It used to be by Epix, it's now MGM Plus. It was created by John Griffin. It's a great show about a mystery in the middle of USA in a city, apparently. But anyway, so these are our season 2 predictions for From. My first prediction is we're going to find out that the monsters are people who used to live there. They're ex-residents. And I believe this because in the first season they reference a cross-dresser when Julie and Fatima are trying on the Armani jumper. They're like, oh, there was a cross-dresser who used to live here. And I swear one of the extras looks like a cross-dressed monster or one of the creatures. So I think that is a previous resident who has come back as a monster.
If that's the case, and Victor's been there the longest, would Victor not recognise him? I suppose.
But maybe he doesn't. He doesn't communicate very well. He's got poor communication skills. I've said this before.
Yeah, Victor isn't the most chatty of guys, is he? I suppose they've not seen them. Otherwise, they would be like tricked to open the windows or something like that. But I'd be surprised if Victor. Oh yeah, that's.
So you don't believe my season 2 prediction?
Like oh, that's Debbie from down the road. It's like, do you not think he would like notice some of them or be like, that's
he
the
must recognise the milkman.
Oh,
sure,
exactly.
He
that's
must
the milkman.
Yeah, but he's weird. He's creepy. Yeah. I'm sure that we'll find out. He'll just mention it offhand like that. He'll be like, oh yeah, that's John the milkman.
Oh, that's Dave.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. I think that's my first prediction anyway. Is that we're going to find out that it was in fact residents who used to live there, and that they've been like turned into the monster.
It's all about the lighthouse. Why is the lighthouse in the middle of the forest, first of all? Unless it's by the side of a sea.
Yeah, it looks coastal. So you think we'll find out that we're on an island?
I think you might find out.
How can it be in middle America if there's sea? That's a good point.
Great Lakes. In the same way that it's a city.
Maybe,
it's probably on the coast.
Yeah, I think it's on the coast. It's filmed in Nova Scotia, which is just Canada. Yeah. Scotia. I'm not calling it Scotia.
Scotia.
God damn it. I'm not calling it that. It just means New Scotland. I'm not calling it Scotia. You watch too much Trailer Park Boys, honestly. I'm not calling it that. My other big prediction, which is we saw in one of Victor's drawings a flooded house and people on the roof climbing about and stuff. I think the rain that's pouring down at the end of episode 10 of season 1 is going to lead to a flood. I think a flood is one of the next thing that's going to happen, because lots of Victor's drawings have been coming true over time. He did a drawing of Boyd turning up and getting the goat, and it looked pretty accurate. And I don't think it's him seeing Boyd doing it. I think it's him having a vision of Boyd doing it.
Well, it's also like playing into that big rain cloud that's coming in.
Exactly.
That bus came in.
I think it's a flood. I think it's like Noah's Ark style. It's a flood. That's going to happen next. That's the next big scary thing that's going to happen, because the rain is really pouring down during that storm. So I think a flood's the next thing. And they'll have to go to Colony House again, won't they? Because it's on the hill.
Yeah,
that's my prediction. That's my prediction.
Everyone will have to work together somehow and get along.
Go back to Colony House they just left and have all these
there's
horrible memories.
blood painted on the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's my big prediction. And yeah, I think we will find out a lot more about the monsters. I think we'll find that as Tabby has gone through the floor, that there's actually tunnels, and all the houses are connected by tunnels.
Connected in some way.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a really big tunnelling system underneath this town. Like a freakishly big one. A
lot of people are being replaced. A medic is replaced with a medic if they die.
Yeah,
a farmer is replaced with a farmer. Yeah. Whereas a lot of people from the bus will come. Some won't be useful, and then they'll be quickly killed off. But then, the ones that the place actually needs, they'll be vital to go for. I guarantee there'll be another farmer to replace Sarah's brother.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
There'll be a few other people, I bet, as well. I mean, there'll probably be someone, as you said, for the flood. I bet there'll be someone who's trained in
whitewater rafting.
Yeah, a lifeguard or something like that.
Hey, guy's a lifeguard.
they'll have all the
swimmer,
the inflatable boats out the back, and they'll all just be.
Mind you, Grand Rapids.
Yeah,
hell of a good time to turn up if there's going to be a flood.
If there's going to be a flood,
yeah, that has some weight. I like that. I think we'll find out what's going on in the real world as well in season 2, because it does seem from, as you said, from the Instagram that Epix released, they released a load of like promotional material. It seemed to show that there were these missing posters in the real world where we are, which is like Boyd missing and his family were missing as well. But as you say, Kenny's family were not missing, but Kenny was missing, which implies that there are essentially NPCs in this town.
I also have a prediction that we'll find out how the electricity works.
Oh, big shout!
Because the electricity doesn't make any sense, even in the forum. Because even if it works by plugging it doesn't make any sense because there's no wires going up through it. And even if you put in, like, say, the hairdryer that they did in one of the later episodes, why wouldn't the hairdryer just work anyway? Because if it's like a force field of energy or something, surely everything should work. You shouldn't have to plug it in. Because what are they plugging it in? Like, what are they taking the wires of the hairdryer and pushing it into? Because there's nothing in there. So surely the hairdryer should just work, or the light should. Do you know what I mean?
Work.
Yeah, it should just work.
So that's a great prediction. I agree with that.
I think it might be some form of like force field or something that happened in the first iteration, like the 1970s, that caused this to happen, and it caused the electricity to form in more waves or something like that. Just something more, because it doesn't make any sense that the hairdryer won't work. Anything they've brought in since that point doesn't work.
Unless it has its own charge, battery. Yeah.
Whereas anything previous, like the electricity just works. It doesn't, and even when they were digging down and they dug all the way through, it seemed like the wires still didn't go anywhere. Like, where did the wires come from then? So I think they'll find more of the wires. Possibly the wires might even go underground, like into where the monsters.
Yeah. Well, we saw that the wire, when Tabby wrote through it, goes through to where the monsters are, but they said there was no copper in them, so they are just plastic wire. Some of them, yeah.
But that then raises the question of why even pretend?
Yeah, why pretend?
Just cut off all the wires.
They've gone to a lot of realism in this town, haven't they?
To the point where, why would you dig all the way down, all the way through there, when there's nothing in there?
It does seem to be a bit of like the Truman Show kind of set, almost, in some ways, but more supernatural.
Almost like a hunting ground.
The monsters obviously do seem to hide or something during the day, so I do think we'll find out whether or not daylight hurts them.
Yeah, whether
if you were a superhuman predator thing and you can't be damaged by bullets or anything, would you even bother sleeping in a cave? Surely you'd sleep outside. You'd have a kingdom. Be like a dragon.
Yeah, why? Yeah, that's a good point. Why would you hide unless there's something worse?
In the day that will come after you, or the sunlight itself will kill you. So I think we'll find out what happens. We'll find out more about the monsters for sure. It's
also interesting that during the day they slept underground. And before they found a talisman, the people also slept underground during the night.
And they never bumped into each other.
Yeah, they were all digging holes, but none of them bumped into each other and none of them dug through.
I know, and they must have had these dugouts, which, unless the monsters stayed in the dugouts, which would have been crazy.
It's like tunnelling in World War One. It's like everyone tunnelling past each other.
Exactly, and they were right next to each other the whole time.
The chances are, when they do get down there in season 2 or something, and Tabby and Victor are walking through, there'll be holes all over the show because everyone's been digging. It's like there'll be holes everywhere.
Yeah, I think Tabby and the Matthews house seems to be sinking as well, because it actually goes up through the next floor as well. It's really strange. If you see at the end of episode 10, it is like opening up, not just in the ground floor in the basement, but the floor above it and the floor above that as well. You look up and you can see it goes all the way through. So it is like the entire house is forming a sinkhole essentially, but it's a strange one. It seems to go upwards.
Well, to be fair, they didn't put down any structure in place, so I wouldn't be surprised. I'm surprised they didn't already cave in on it, because if you dig a hole straight down, it's going to cave in at you because it'll become too deep. Especially if you don't put any like structures to like block it off, it'll just crush you.
Yeah, it's a sinkhole.
Yeah, surely. Exactly. It's just like.
So I wonder if quite a lot of the houses are going to sort of start sinking essentially, and then there's going to be a flood, and that's where it's going to go. That's what I think is going to happen anyway. That's my prediction.
Alright, let's do some death predictions for season 2.
I think other deaths that will happen. I don't think they'll kill Jade. I think he's pushing forward the plot too much, and he's the most fun character to watch.
One of the only ones, as arrogant as he is, he's one of the only ones actually wanted to find out answers, which is baffling to me. It's even the engineer, even Jim is like, well, I hate that guy, and it's just like he's one of the Jim, you're like sitting there going, "Oh, I can't believe he's talking to me like that." He's talking to you like that because you're not doing shit. It's like
he is rude in fairness, but I get what you're saying. At least he is so.
Would you
useful.
not lose your mind if you were sitting there going, "There are bloodthirsty creatures outside," and everyone's just like, "I don't see a problem with this."
I want to get drunk.
Yeah, I want to do this. I want to sit up at Colony House and smoke weed. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, actively. And then Jay comes in. And, like, admittedly, he thought it was an escape room for, like, 3 episodes, which was, like, fuck off. At the same time, they have been there for ages. And he has discovered more in, like, what's he been there? 3 days?
You are so pro Jade.
He may be arrogant. So I concede that. He could be better with
I'm
people.
Team Jim.
But, oh my. Like, how can you just sit there and be like, well, this is a state for 3 years? It's like none of you have even gone into the woods. Like only Boyd went in there, found a ton of stuff, and then what? No one's gone in there since. And then Jade's like, there's a radio that keeps going off. Oh yeah, that sometimes does that. Oh, does it? Does it really do? Maybe look into it.
Do you know
Maybe look into the goddamn electricity.
Speaking of Kenny, I think Kenny might be a risk this season. Either Kenny or Christy. They'll kill one of them.
I think one of them might go. But it also might be Christie's fiance. Like, if we think Christie's fiance is going to come, it also might be her. I think one of the love triangle goes.
Yeah.
One side of it goes.
Unless Christy dies, and then the whole love triangle collapses.
Okay, that's all we have time for today. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. And make sure you check out our reaction to episode 1 of season 2.